Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about spatial area of a prism and a cylinder. Alright, so we're going to talk about how we can find like our surface area of prisms and cylinders. You're going to need your flip chart notes that we made the other day, a pen and a pencil, and a calculator. Now make sure you have your foldable. Okay, today we're going to be working on prisms and cylinders. Okay, and remember when we do this today, you guys, your examples need to go on either one side or the other. Because one side we're going to have surface area, the other side we're going to have volume coming up later. Here we go. Prism is named after the type of bases it has. All lateral faces or sides are rectangles. So you probably want to have this just right on top of like the left-hand side when you open up the prism section of your foldable. These are some examples of prisms. This first one was a triangular prism. Next one we have a rectangular prism. We have a hexagonal prism. A pentagonal prism. Okay, you guys don't need to draw any of these down. Here's just some examples. Now, surface area of a prism is the total area of all the surfaces of the sides. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to get this down, but please make sure you look at how this rectangular prism breaks down. If I unfold this, because just like when we put together our 3D objects the other day, now we're taking a 3D object and we're like breaking it apart. If I turn it into this net, you'll see that I have multiple shapes. When I have these multiple shapes, that's what I have to find the area for. So I have three different shapes. I have this shape right here, which is a rectangle, and now that rectangle is the same as this one over here. So if I find the area of 1, all I have to do is multiply it by 2. Also, I have this rectangle right here and this rectangle right here, so I'd have to find the area of those two rectangles. And finally, I have this rectangle and this rectangle. So it's very important that we know what our figure is going to look like after we break it apart. Alright? Now, this is the example that I need you to put into your foldable, please. So if you want to try to draw this one is a triangular prism. That would be great. Now, we have to find the surface area of this right prism. Now, if we look at our bases tell us how we classify. Our bases right here are triangles. Okay, we have two triangular bases. So when we're talking about surface area, we have to find the area of one of these triangles. So if I have this triangle is equilateral, all the sides are 5. In order to find the area of a triangle, and then remember you guys, we're going to have two triangles, one at each end, so that's something we have to remember. We have to know the base and the height, and then we're going to divide that by 2. If I look at my triangle that I have here, I know my base. My base is 5, so I can plug that in for myself. So it's going to be 5 times something divided by 2. I need to know my vertical height. Remember the one that makes a right angle. If I know two sides, because I know my hypotenuse is 5, if I break this in half, this is 2.5. I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem to figure out what my height is. So I'm going to have x squared plus 2.5 squared equals 5 squared. So x squared plus 6.25 equals 25 minus 6.25 on both sides. And I'm going to get x squared equals 18.75. If I take the square root of both sides, my height, or my x value, equals 4.33. So that's what I'm going to plug in for my height, 4.33. After I calculate this now, my area of my triangle, I have area equals 10.83. Now that's just for one. Remember, I have two, one on each end, so I'm going to multiply this by 2, and I get my area equals 21.66 centimeters squared. So now I'm starting. I found the area of two of my shapes. Now I have to finish this. If I look back at my shape, I notice that I have rectangles because prisms are connected by rectangles and all of them are the same. Since I have a triangular base, I'm going to have 3 rectangles. So if I talk about my rectangle, I have to find the area, which is base times height. Now, if I look at this, I know my height is this 15 right here. So area equals, the base I'm not sure about, but my height is 15. Now, if I look at my base, I know my triangle, all my sides are 5, so my base is 5. Type this in my calculator and I get area equals 75. But remember, we don't just have one, we have 3 rectangles. So we have to find the area of 1 and multiply it by 3. So my area of 3 is 225 centimeters squared. Once I found all my shapes, which I found my triangle and I found my rectangle. Now I'm just going to add them together. So I have 225 plus 21.66. My answer for this one is going to be 246.66 centimeters squared. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is my answer. So for these ones, anytime we have a rectangular prism in general, you need to find the area of the base, whether it's a square, rectangle, pentagon, hexagon, triangle, and multiply that by 2. And then you have to find the area of a rectangle, and then multiply it by how many rectangles you have. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on to surface area of a cylinder. Okay, cylinders are very much like prisms, except they have a circular base. So this, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have to write this down. I just want you to look at, here's my cylinder. If I break this one apart, it's going to look like this. I end up with a rectangle that was wrapped around and 2 circles. So when I go to my next example, when I'm trying to find my surface area, I need to find my area of my circles and of my rectangles. Or rectangle, excuse me. Alright, this example needs to go in your foldable underneath the cylinder part under surface area. Okay? So we just talked about this. When we break this apart, ladies and gentlemen, we have our circles. So first thing we're going to talk about is our circle. And remember, we're going to have 2 of them. So at the end, we're going to have to multiply this by 2. To find the area of a circle, area equals pi r squared. So when I plug this in, I have area equals pi. My radius is 3 feet squared. So my area equals 28.27. Now, that's for one circle. I have 2 of them, so I have to multiply it by 2. So area equals 56.54 feet squared. So that's just of my circles. So my circles are done. The next thing I have to think about is my rectangle. The rectangle on this triangle, I'm going to draw this out here. I know my height. That's what they're telling me right here. This is my height of my rectangle. My height is 4 feet. Now, my base, this is where it becomes really important, you guys. You're going to want to make sure you get this down. My base is this right here. My base is the circumference. So whenever we're working with cylinders, write this down, please. The base equals the circumference of the circle. Okay, the base equals the circumference. So in order to find my base, I have to find my circumference. So to find circumference, circumference equals 2 pi r. So my circumference equals 2 pi times 3. And that equals 18.85. So my base is 18.85 feet. Once I know my base and my height, I can plug it into my formula. Area equals base times height. So area equals 18.85 times 4. The area of my rectangle is 75.4. Now this one, I'm only going to have one rectangle, so I don't need to multiply by anything. Once I have my circles, the area of both circles, and the area of my rectangle, all I'm going to do is come over here and add them together. So I have 56.54 plus 75.4. And for my answer, I'm going to get 131.94 feet squared. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will be talking with you later. Bye.